we have already studied the suffering of hell beings and pretas in the chapter on the defects of samsara. Today, we will begin learning about the suffering of animals. Before today's teaching, I want to emphasize the importance of listening to the Dharma teachings for every Buddhist. This is something I hope you will recognize at the start of this new semester. The sutra states, "From hearing, we know all the dharmas. From hearing, we refrain from evil deeds. From hearing, we cease acts of no value. From hearing, we attain nirvana." This verse explains the four qualities of hearing the Dharma teachings. From hearing, we know all the dharmas. By listening to the teachings, we can discern what the authentic Dharma is and what it is not, as well as understand both mundane and transcendent knowledge. In this world, even ordinary truths take a long time to learn. Today, almost all countries place great importance on education, which underscores the significance of hearing. A person who grows up with little exposure to knowledge will find it difficult to achieve success in the future. Given that hearing is already so vital for acquiring worldly knowledge, it becomes even more crucial for understanding the Dharma, which is much more profound. From hearing, we refrain from evil deeds. After studying the teachings of many sutras and shastras, we learn what to pursue and what to avoid, allowing us to refrain from misdeeds. For example, before studying the Dharma, we were unclear about the faults of killing and the merits of virtuous actions. Now that we have heard the teachings, we understand clearly that we should avoid misdeeds and must not harm living beings. From hearing, we cease acts of no value. Hearing Dharma teachings can prevent us from meaningless idling. We idle externally or internally. External idling refers to immersing ourselves in trivial pursuits or engaging in idle chatter. Internal idling involves distractions and drowsiness of the mind that cause us to squander time aimlessly. Hearing the Dharma helps us avoid these faults. From hearing, we attain nirvana. Through hearing the Dharma, we come to understand the temporary and ultimate benefits of the true Dharma and the harms of non-Dharma. From this knowledge, we can antidote afflictions, further realize the wisdom of no self, and ultimately attain the fruition of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Thus, hearing is very important. Today, some people claim meditation alone is sufficient. Hearing is not really necessary. While this approach may benefit a very small number of individuals, the majority must follow the proper sequence based on their level of faculties. Even if you possess superior faculties, hearing will not hinder your practice. What truly hinders your practice are various worldly negative behaviors. Hearing the instructions of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and eminent masters will only strengthen your faith, compassion, and wisdom. It will not diminish your good qualities. Thus, we should cultivate the habit of reading more Buddhist scriptures and teachings, recharging ourselves daily through listening. By doing so, we continuously accumulate wisdom from hearing the Dharma, which greatly benefits us. Here I've briefly addressed the merits of hearing the teachings. I hope you will never give up studying the Dharma and always take it seriously. The animals. There are two categories of animals, those living in the depths and those scattered in different places. Buddhist texts, including the treatise on the great perfection of wisdom, the Agama, and the Sutra of the right mindfulness of Dharma, classify animals into many categories and describe them in great detail. Generally speaking, animals are quite unintelligent, as the Abhidharma Mahavibhasa Sastra states. Those sentient beings, due to their increased ignorance, engage in wrong actions through their body, speech, and mind. They are born there, are reborn there, and continue to exist there. Therefore, it is referred to as being born in the realm of animals. According to the words of my perfect teacher, animals are categorized into those living in the depths and those scattered in different places. The Sutra of the Life of Shakyamuni in his 12 years states, there are 6,400 kinds of fish, 4,500 kinds of birds, and 2,400 kinds of beasts. We can refer to any one of these categorizations. Generally speaking, through this study, we must deeply recognize the suffering of animals. Simply knowing it is not enough. We must reflect and meditate on their suffering repeatedly. Meanwhile, whatever we do, we must ensure that we do not harm any animals. I often encounter people who are particularly indifferent to the suffering of animals. It is understandable if non-Buddhists feel this way, as they may not be aware of the law of karma. However, if a Buddhist who has been studying the Dharma for several decades shows no concern for animals and lacks compassion for their suffering, it is truly disheartening. Therefore, through this study, we should all understand that animals, like humans, also seek happiness and wish to avoid suffering. We must cultivate this perspective. Recently, in my hometown of Trango County, 40 to 50 intellectuals, mainly teachers and Dharma masters, participated in a 3-day symposium on education and philanthropy. During the meeting, one person said to me, "Through life release, you have saved many animals, especially cattle and sheep. If more and more animals are released into nature, there will be less and less space for us humans to live. Isn't this harmful to our social development?" I responded, "As a monastic, regardless of how many animals there are, I will always protect them. In my worldview, animals should be protected, not harmed. As for you, a householder who believes in Buddhism, please tell me, when there are many animals, should you kill them or protect them?" The person was left speechless and did not know how to respond. Then a graduate student said, "Since ancient times, almost all Tibetans have believed in Buddhism and regarded the lives of animals and humans as equal. Those who do not embrace this value do not truly understand the law of karma. If society as a whole can respect the lives of animals and humans equally, it is entirely acceptable for its economic development to regress. We do not need such development." Her impassioned words received warm applause from the audience. Several renowned Dharma masters from Larungar were also present, and they all found her perspective valuable. Therefore, if we do not put the teachings into real practice, they will not significantly benefit our mind stream. We must avoid this mistake while studying the words of my perfect teacher. Otherwise, without real practice, those with many fabricated thoughts may find it difficult to eliminate certain concepts instilled since childhood by worldly education. Many school textbooks claim that certain animals are very similar to plants. Although they can move, their brains are not as well developed as those of humans, leading to slower responses to pain and a diminished capacity to truly feel it. Because of such views, many people do not consider it cruel to kill animals. If they see a person about to be killed, they will not remain indifferent and will do their utmost to save that person. However, when they witness an animal facing death, many will remain indifferent and choose not to intervene. This disparity in attitudes toward the lives of humans and animals can be attributed to the different Mahayanist inclinations they cultivated in previous lives, as well as their current circumstances and education. We must correct this misguided view of animals. By meditating on the relevant teachings, we can develop the conviction that animals are no different from humans. If animals are to be killed due to their perceived unintelligence, what about those humans who are also unintelligent? For example, in a classroom of school children, fewer than 1/3 may achieve excellent grades. Would anyone consider killing the other 2/3 simply because they are perceived as less intelligent? Of course not. Therefore, we should always contemplate, examine, and analyze the views we encounter. By doing so, we will truly understand the suffering of animals. This understanding will naturally cultivate compassion within us. This is the goal of studying Mahayana Buddhism. Animals living in the depths. The vast outer oceans are filled with countless fish, reptiles, turtles, shellfish, worms, and other creatures, as numerous as the grains of malt at the bottom of a beer barrel. If we embark on an underwater cruise to explore the ocean world, we can indeed witness a multitude of living beings in the sea. It is said that some serpents and monsters are so enormous that their bodies can coil around Mount Meru multiple times, while other creatures are as tiny as dust particles or the tip of a needle. By far the largest animal in the world is the blue whale, which can reach 33 meters in length and weigh 190 tons. Some animals described in the sutras are even larger. For example, the Sutra of the Great Conflagration depicts enormous fish. There are big fish in the ocean that can reach lengths of 4,000 li, 8,000 li, 12,000 li, or even 32,000 li. Therefore, due to their various karmas, some animals possess very large bodies. Regardless of their size, animals experience tremendous suffering. Larger animals prey on smaller ones, while smaller creatures invade the bodies of larger ones, consuming them alive in the process. Many large animals host tiny parasites that feed on their flesh from within. Some beings are born in the dark depths between continents, where sunlight never penetrates, leaving them unable to perceive whether their limbs are bent or stretched. In their ignorance, they lack any understanding of right or wrong and are endlessly reborn into realms of suffering. Animals that live scattered in different places. The animals inhabiting the realms of gods and humans suffer continually due to ignorance and exploitation, while the nagas endure torment, facing attacks from garudas and enduring showers of burning sand. Moreover, they are stupid, aggressive, and poisonous. Many sutras, such as the Dirghagama and the Questions of the Naga King Sutra, explain the categorization of nagas and their sufferings. Ancient Chinese texts, such as the Classic of Mountains and Seas, Records of the Grand Historian, and the Huananzi, also describe the existence of nagas or dragons. Many people believe that nagas or dragons are creatures that exist only in myths, not in reality. Some Tibetan and Han Chinese scholars assert that dragons are entirely imaginary due to the lack of empirical evidence. However, such claims are not necessarily accurate. The sutras do not state that everyone can see a dragon. Even during the time of the Buddha Shakyamuni, when nagas came to hear the Dharma before the Buddha, many members of the Sangha could not see them. Only a select few beings with clairvoyance or special karmic perception were able to see them. In addition to invisible dragons, we can clearly see many other animals that also suffer tremendously. The wild animals that coexist with humans live in perpetual fear. They cannot take even a single bite of food without being constantly alert. Surrounded by mortal enemies, animals prey on one another, while also facing relentless threats from hunters, predators, and countless dangers. Hawks hunt smaller birds feed on insects, and so on. This endless cycle of killing and being killed leads to the accumulation of negative actions. Hunters, skilled in various cruel methods, use all sorts of deadly tools, nets, snares, traps, and guns to torment and kill these animals, putting their lives in constant jeopardy. With the development of technology, I have heard that in coastal areas there are fishing nets as large as football fields. Once cast into the ocean, these nets can capture vast quantities of creatures such as fish and shrimp. Additionally, there are various snares designed to capture birds, and their operation is quite cruel. Therefore, animals rarely experience a sense of safety. Although we humans may fear terrorists, thieves, and accidents, compared to animals that are constantly exposed to numerous harms and threats, we still live relatively secure lives. Some animals are slaughtered for parts of their bodies, such as horns, fur, and skin. For example, oysters are harvested for their pearls, elephants for their tusks and bones, and tigers, leopards, otters, and foxes for their pelts, while musk oxen are hunted for their musk, and yaks for their meat and blood. Nagarjuna's letter to a friend says, some of them are killed just for their pearls, their wool or bones, their meat or skins and fur. Finding rest in the nature of the mind says, they are beaten and must suffer endlessly, and for their meat and fur and bones they are condemned to death. As we can see, the torments that animals endure are beyond our imagination. Every summer in the Faroe Islands, a constituent country of Denmark, people gather on the beach to participate in the annual whaling of long-finned pilot whales. Many whales are killed, and their blood stains the beach, turning the sea red. The scenes are horrifying. Afterward, the hunters cut the whales into pieces and distribute the meat to residents of the islands. What puzzles me even more is that locals view this whaling as a cultural heritage, with all family members expected to participate, meaning even toddlers are present to witness the slaughter. What a troubling tradition it is. Imagine what a young child will think and feel as they grow up, having been instilled with such values from an early age. Some of the monastics present here once did not know the law of karma and killed many living beings before their ordinations. Their actions result in terrible karmic consequences. Personally, I do not recall ever killing any living being intentionally. Perhaps due to karma from my past lives and the blessings of the 3 jewels, I have been afraid of any scene of killing since birth. As a child, when I saw animals being killed, I would run far away and dared not look at the scene. However, people have different propensities, so some individuals may not share my feelings. We should all reflect carefully on our past actions, not to mention the misdeeds committed in previous lives. Many people have already consumed large quantities of living beings in this life. Some absurd advertisements even promote statements like, eating live fish is good for brain health. It can enhance memory and strengthen the body. In some places, a very cruel method is used to kill pigs for barbecue. The pig is tied up, beaten with a stick until its body swells and the capillaries bleed. Then, parts of the pig are cut off for barbecue. The advertisement claims that this pork is particularly delicious, nutritious, and good for health. What a spurious promotional statement. Nevertheless, many people are drawn to it and genuinely want to try it. Sometimes I feel that the hell realm actually exists in the human realm. Animals live very miserable lives. It is a tragic fate that the very bodies the animals are born with become the cause of their death. Not only wild animals, but also domestic ones endure unimaginable suffering. Domesticated animals often seem so bewildered that when their executioner approaches with a knife, they can only stare blankly, unable to even consider escaping. They are subjected to milking, heavy burdens, castration, nose piercing, and being yoked to plows. None can break free from this endless cycle of servitude. Horses and yaks, even when their backs are raw and covered in sores, are still burdened and ridden. Some circuses offer wonderful shows in which tigers jump through fire rings, monkeys juggle fire sticks, elephants stand on one leg, and dolphins play with balls. However, behind those performances lies animal cruelty that involves physical abuse. Due to this inhumane treatment of animals, legislation prohibiting animal performances in circuses has been enacted in many countries, including Brazil, Singapore, Finland, several states in America, and provinces in Canada. Without such regulation, many people driven by greed show no compassion for these animals, viewing them merely as money-making machines, which is deeply unethical. Animal cruelty still exists in many places, and the situation is appalling. Take cattle and horses, for example. When they can no longer move, they are beaten with whips and struck with stones. The suffering and possible illness of these animals rarely, if ever, cross the minds of their owners. Cattle and sheep are relentlessly exploited until their deaths. When they grow too old, they are either sold or slaughtered by their owners. In any case, their fate is the slaughterhouse, and they never experience a natural death. Especially in Shanghai, when a herdsman's livestock grows old, they are sent to a slaughterhouse. In contrast, people in the Garze area feel gratitude toward their old yaks, allowing them to die naturally instead of killing them for meat. However, many young Tibetans in Qinghai only think about having meat to eat and show no compassion for the animals. This reflects a complete lack of moral values. In fact, the suffering that animals endure is beyond our imagination. It is essential for practitioners to treat animals and humans equally. From both a humanitarian perspective and the viewpoint of vegetarianism, animals are living beings with feelings, just like humans. Animal Liberation: A New Ethics for Our Treatment of Animals is a 1975 book by renowned philosopher Peter Singer. Since its publication, the book has had a significant impact and has been translated into more than 20 languages and published in dozens of countries. The English version has been reprinted 26 times. I have read through this book. Since its narrative follows a Western style, which differs from Eastern ways of thinking, I sometimes find it challenging to grasp his ideas immediately. Nevertheless, the content of the book is truly valuable. According to Singer, humans have consistently gone too far in killing, eating, and abusing animals. With the rise of the Black movement and the women's movement, people have gradually come to realize that all humans are equal. Therefore, there should be an animals movement as well, so animals can be liberated from their suffering. Some readers may not feel inspired by the book, but conscientious individuals may find it profoundly impactful. I hope you consider reading this book at your convenience. Although I personally find some parts challenging to understand, the content itself is highly worthwhile. Some of our human values should be reevaluated. Otherwise, we will continue to believe it is acceptable for humans to eat animals or that animals exist solely for human consumption. As a result, our happiness is often built upon the suffering of animals. Such thinking and actions are illogical. However, very few people grasp this concept. Therefore, we must begin with ourselves and gradually change our behaviors. Of course, Buddhists do not necessarily need to adhere to worldly philosophical viewpoints. We may simply reflect on this. Animals endure unimaginable suffering. Whenever you witness animals being mistreated, try to place yourself in their position and vividly imagine the pain and hardship they endure. Meditate with deep compassion for all beings reborn as animals. Especially if you have pets or animals in your care, treat them with kindness and love. You should think like this: all living beings have been my parents, and when they are suffering, I vow to suffer for them. Or, how could I bear these excruciating sufferings should they fall upon me? Then, make an aspiration to never harm any living being in the future, and vow to liberate them. You may contemplate this repeatedly. Some people often complain that nothing from the words of my perfect teacher can be put into practice. In reality, if you have not meditated on the relevant teachings, there is indeed nothing for you to practice. However, if you have integrated the teachings into your meditation practice, you will recognize that there are many aspects you can reflect upon. You will also understand that these extremely important practices of the common preliminaries are actually much more significant than those focused solely on the profound state of realization. If you can truly regard animals and humans equally, then as a Mahayanist, you may gradually attain many states of realization. Consequently, you will not only cultivate more kindness and love toward your own domesticated animals, but also develop great compassion for animals in general, aspiring to protect them as well. The Brahma's Net Sutra states, if the Buddha's heirs often generate great compassion when they encounter cattle, horses, pigs, sheep, and any other animals, they should think to themselves and say, you are now an animal. You should generate bodhicitta. Whenever we come across an animal, we should generate compassion and think of helping it give rise to bodhicitta. We should express this aloud as well. Mahayanists should keep these principles in mind at all times. Why? Because all animals, even the smallest insects, can experience pleasure and pain, and because they have all been our fathers and mothers in past lives. We should give rise to love and compassion for them. Integrate these principles into your practice using the 3 supreme methods. Animals are unintelligent and ignorant. They lack merit and virtuous roots, and they do not have the opportunity to engage in virtuous deeds. They remain perpetually in a state of ignorance. How pitiful! The Sutra of the Great Heap of Jewels states, beings in the realm of animals are countless. They conduct meaningless deeds, deeds devoid of merit, inappropriate deeds, non-virtuous deeds, and dishonest deeds. In considering the causes of their rebirth as animals, we must always remind ourselves not to commit these misdeeds, lest we fall into the realm of animals after death. The Sutra of the Questions of the Son of Pratipana identifies 5 causes for being reborn as animals. 5 misdeeds lead to rebirth as animals. The first is breaking precepts and stealing. The second is failing to repay one's debts. The third is killing. The fourth is disliking hearing the Dharma. The fifth is creating obstacles to the food assembly of monastics. The causes of being reborn as animals are clearly explained in the sutras, so we must remain vigilant at all times. If we carelessly commit these misdeeds, it may be too late to regret our actions in the future. We should put the above teachings into practice using the 3 supreme methods. That is, at the beginning we generate supreme bodhicitta. During the main part, we meditate on the suffering of animals in general, or the suffering of a specific animal. And at the conclusion, we dedicate the merit for all sentient beings. Once we have literal understanding of the teachings, we must put them into practice. If we maintain a solid and steady practice of ngondro, many states of realization will arise naturally within us. Conversely, if we do not regard animals and humans as equals, then even if we appear to be practitioners, none of our practice will bear fruit. Now we have covered the teachings on the hell realm, the realm of pretas, and the realm of animals. Here is a summary of these 3 lower realms. Wherever beings are reborn in the 3 lower realms, they endure immense and lasting suffering. Those born into these realms are marked by ignorance and lack understanding of the Dharma. Consequently, they can only generate further causes that lead to additional rebirths in these realms, making it extremely difficult to escape once they are trapped there. As humans, no matter how poor our practice may be, we can still refrain from committing misdeeds and choose to engage in virtuous actions. For example, those with perseverance will find it easy to abstain from killing, and those with faith in Buddhism can at least recite the mantra of Avalokiteshvara 100 times a day. However, for animals, even if they could live for 10,000 years, they still cannot recite the mantra of Avalokiteshvara even once. Therefore, considering the suffering of animals, we should cultivate deep compassion for them. At the same time, we must recognize that humans and beings in the lower realms lead very different lives, making it difficult for a being reborn in the lower realms to escape. In this life and countless past lives, we have committed numerous wrongdoings that have inevitably led to rebirth in lower realms. Therefore, we must sincerely regret our past wrongdoings, confess them, and commit to refraining from such actions in the future. With deep compassion for the beings who dwell in those realms, we should dedicate all the positive deeds we accumulate in the past, present, and future to their benefit. We must pray fervently for their liberation from these unfortunate states of existence. This is what we should meditate on and dedicate ourselves to daily, and there's no need for extensive explanation. We must keep this paragraph in mind from now until the day we die. Every time we perform a virtuous deed, such as participating in a Dharma teaching, reciting the mantra of Avalokiteshvara, releasing life, listening and contemplating, or memorizing Buddhist texts, we should dedicate the merit to the beings of the three lower realms. We can do this by reciting long prayers, such as the King of Aspiration prayers, or other short verses. This practice is essential. Meanwhile, we should also reflect. Now that I have encountered the Mahayana teachings and have the opportunity to practice the path that brings true benefit to both myself and others, I should engage in Dharma practice with determination, overcoming all difficulties, and strive to lead all beings from the three lower realms to the Buddha fields. With this aspiration, we generate bodhicitta and pray to the teacher and the deities for their guidance and support, thinking, "May my guru and the three jewels bless me to accomplish this goal." Then, we dedicate the merit for the benefit of all beings, thereby integrating the three supreme methods into our practice. This pith instruction is what we must practice regularly. It is not difficult. Whenever we engage in virtuous activities such as meditation, we can apply this instruction. Some practitioners have been practicing well, while others remain caught up in afflictions and distractions. Nevertheless, regardless of which group you belong to, you should be able to engage in this analytical meditation. Some urban practitioners are busy making a living, so while working, they can also contemplate and visualize according to the instructions. Practicing in this manner consistently is very important. Please highlight this paragraph in your book. During your analytical meditation, close your eyes and repeatedly supplicate, "May Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, deities, and Dharma protectors bless me so I can truly generate compassion toward beings of the three lower realms." Then, dedicate all your merit to those beings. If you can practice this every day, you are a true Dharma practitioner. While rebirth in the three lower realms naturally entails suffering, one might assume that the three higher realms would be filled with happiness and comfort. However, even in the higher realms, true happiness does not exist. We will begin to explain this in the next class.